Hi, I'm Timea Presley. Thank you for joining me today. Somebody recently emailed me with a question, and the question was, what is the best approach for women who have the condition where the stomach muscles split? This condition is called Diastasis Recti. Let's talk about Diastasis Recti today. So, Diastasis Recti can be described as a separation of the abdominal wall. The rectus abdominis muscle that runs down from the rib cage to the pelvis separates at one place and develops a gap. Usually, this happens as a result of pregnancy. So most of the people who you will see with Diastasis Recti or who will experience Diastasis Recti are women. However, men can also develop Diastasis Recti for other reasons. Sometimes abdominal work that is too harsh can cause it, or sometimes men who have a little bit of a tummy can develop Diastasis Recti as well. So, the most superficial layer of the abdominals is rectus abdominis. Then underneath that layer we have the obliques, and even below that layer we have transversus abdominis. Now, transversus abdominis is an important muscle in Pilates. It compresses the abdominal cavity, provides stability for the lumbopelvic region, and it's really your internal back brace that stabilizes the lower back so nicely and helps to create pain-free, comfortable, well-supported posture. If you're someone who has Diastasis Recti, or if you work with someone with Diastasis Recti, emphasizing transversus abdominis work will be your best bet. Now, how do we recognize if somebody has Diastasis Recti? Of course, as Pilates instructors, we don't diagnose conditions. However, we can recognize them and suggest the person who we think has it to go to a physical therapist and have it checked. But this is what you can look for. You can have the person lie down on their back, or you lie down on your back, and if you just lift the head up a little bit from a position where your knees are bent and the head and shoulders lift up into that 100 position or chest lift, if you see a little bit of bulging in the middle of the tummy somewhere, sometimes it's up a little higher, for other people it's down a little lower, that is Diastasis Recti. Often if you push on that bulging spot, it's a little bit softer. It's because the muscles are not tied together, but they are a little bit apart, so you feel that little bit of softer tissue underneath protruding. You can usually, if you just move along the abdominal wall and find that hardness of an engaged rectus abdominis muscle, you'll be able to feel the edge of the muscle, then the softness, and then the other edge. You could ask your client to do this for themselves if that's more comfortable for everyone. When you realize that somebody has Diastasis Recti, again, your best bet will be to work to emphasize transversus abdominis engagement. You will find that a lot of times, if that proper deep abdominal engagement takes place, the diastasis is not visible or not as visible. Diastasis Recti has different grades. Some people have only a little tiny bit of space, maybe 1 finger width of space between the abdominals. However, some people, especially directly after childbirth, might experience a larger gap, which could be 3 fingers wide. So if that is the case, make sure to continue with a physical therapist and follow their guidance on the path of healing and hopefully narrowing the gap between the abdominals. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, following the guidance of a physical therapist, doing the right amount of exercise and the right kind of exercise, the gap will not close. I'm always suspicious when I hear about programs that 100% promise that the diastasis will close. What makes diastasis a little bit worse is some harsh forward flexions. For example, I would avoid doing 100 sit-ups, which I would avoid even without a diastasis, or often very loaded rotations will be unfavorable to this condition. Reduce loaded rotations, reduce forward flexions like roll-up in mat Pilates, especially at the beginning when the condition just was recognized and just developed, and then also follow the guidance of that pain factor that sometimes comes in when the muscles that separated are a little bit more sensitive and painful, which can even actually stay with the client for the rest of their life. So that means that you will maybe do abdominal engagement exercises that are not so much focusing on forward flexion and abdominal engagement that way, but more with a straight torso so that we don't put too much pressure on just rectus abdominis.